Only on 7 News. Special events, steak dinners. The Call 7 investigators uncovering school districts spending big money lavishly. Call 7 investigator John Ferrugia asking some tough questions. John, you dug through the records of several metro school districts.
We did, Mike, and we found examples of questionable spending in Denver, Aurora, and Jefferson County. Now, what we found would certainly not be enough to solve the school's budget problems. Our investigation did, though, uncover thousands of dollars of district officials admit now were misspent, and you paid for it.
This is unprecedented times. We had to cut $25 million last year.
I think that anything we spend money on, I personally should be able to say, here's what's in this for kids.
Under any budget scenario, it's very important to be tight with your dollars.
But when we examined the checkbooks of the state's largest school districts, we didn't always see that. For instance, in Denver, we found that in 2011, DPS spent around $200,000 for restaurants and fast food.
Some of that money is not general fund money. Some of that money is private money that's not taxpayer dollars.
The bottom line question is $200,000 for restaurants and fast food justified?
I think it's a small fraction of our overall operating budget.
It's not the question. I know that it is. You mentioned that. I ask a just simple question. Is it justified?
You know, I think that's a fair question to ask. I don't have a simple, straight answer for you.
And then there is taxpayer money spent on a gathering for secretaries.
Why spend $4,000 for food and gift cards for secretaries?
Well, the gift cards is an improper expense. That should not have happened. And in terms of the money that was spent on food for the Secretaries Institute, that was an improper expense as well.
And what about several $100s spent for what is described as school networking at a neighborhood sports bar, even though there's no evidence of money spent on alcohol?
So I think it's a legitimate question to be raised. Could this meeting have been held at the school? I think that's a fair question.
In Aurora schools, we found that administrators went to Washington, D.C. on a grant aimed at helping poor students. Yet we found they repeatedly spent hundreds of dollars for dinners at a pricey steakhouse when there are clearly plenty of less expensive places to eat in the neighborhood.
They were trying to get back to their meeting as quick as they possibly could. It was a convenient place to stop. They didn't spec out the expense accounts on what restaurant was cheaper than others.
But receipts show that simply isn't true. For example, this $310 meal was ordered at 9:32 p.m. and it was paid for at 11:09 p.m. So what meeting were Aurora Public School staff trying to get back to at that time of night?
But I'm asking if it's justified.
We always trust our people to do the right thing.
And how about $2,600 of taxpayer money for a staff party at Dave & Buster's?
That was not done well. Okay, so what we do is when we find something that's wrong, we fix it, and we try to make sure that it never happens again. The helpful thing about this dialogue that we're having right now, it enhances our ability to be more efficient and effective.
Meanwhile, in Jefferson County, where the district spends about $500,000 a year to fund its public relations department, we found nearly $170,000 in additional money spent on an outside public relations firm.
She creates the messaging, she creates the brochures, she creates the folders, she creates the materials that we take out to the community.
She is Marilyn Salzman, the former head of PR for the district, who now has her own firm. Salzman also works with Schoolhouse Communications. That's another PR firm owned by the Jefferson County School Board president.
Anyone that Schoolhouse Communications does business with outside of the school district has nothing to do with the school district. It's fine that you're asking the question.
But no conflict. You're saying no conflict.
There is no conflict.
But after we began asking questions, the superintendent terminated one part of Salzman's contract, saving several $1,000s.
What I would hope comes from this is districts realize that people are watching.
Tom Massey chairs the House Education Committee.
The message is we need to be much more accountable with everything we do at the district level, particularly in an era of declining finances.
Now, a couple of important notes here. We found no improper business relationship between Jefferson County School Board president and the former head of district PR, nor did we find any improper relationship with the district. Now, these are only a few examples of questionable spending we uncovered, and the real issue in this tough economic time is, what message, Mike, is this sending to taxpayers?
Well, Tom Massey said it very well. He said, people are watching, and you're
right.
one of them. Yeah. All right, if you have a story idea for the Call 7 investigators, call 303-832-7777 or email call7@thedenverchannel.com.